I said perfect balance trod class. I don't know, say I talk to the living by this represents. Good over evil, me tell them see a life over death.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another episode of a Perfect Balance Trod Class, a place where conscious-minded and like-minded individuals are guided towards a full development of their potential through collective reasoning. We have with us today Okavango, the Rebel Guru, Bingi, Yaga, aka Teacher Ma'at. I'm yours truly, Rastada, and we are the Perfect Balance Trod Class. Yes, sir. What my lad?
Yes, sir.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man,
man.
such is life of greatness. Give thanks to the moment, give thanks to the item. We are on the cusp of another transition from the 2024 to 2025 period. As African people, as Rastafari, however, we don't really acknowledge January 1st as the new year, really. But for the masses, it's seen as the new year. So we want to extend a Happy New Year or wishes to all our viewers, all friends of the Trod Class, and everyone in general, anyone who's viewing this. We want to have a little discussion together as a group, like, what our views on the 2024 were, how we saw things improve, how we saw things change, and what we are looking forward to seeing in 2025. And just for a bit of information as well, that Rastafari sees the New Year as September 11, which is the Ethiopian New Year. So, that's when we really acknowledge the New Year as a group. But, as the masses, we will just discuss the transition from 2024, according to the Gregorian calendar, to 2025. Yes, sir. So, year in review. Ngokavango.
Where do we start?
Listen, talk to yourself about New
Africa,
Year. Talk to
Africa,
yourself
rise up, man. Africa,
with
wake
New
up.
Year.
Africa,
Hold on,
rise.
hold on, there, Yaga. Maybe talk to yourself with New Year because my thing always I go. Me put me on a New Year. Spring of my New Year. Spring is my New Year. Not them saying about New Year and this. I mean, every day is another day for me.
Mm-hmm.
Then
Yeah.
work with it 13 and only pay with it 12 months. Cha.
Mm. I know the New Year, man.
Hey, you said that a while ago, no, people don't know what you're saying, my lad. You know that, right? You said that a while ago, and enough people don't have a clue what they are just said, bro. Isn't it?
They
And
know,
work
man.
up 13 and pay for 12.
Give it 12.
Imagine.
Yeah, man.
Yes.
Mystery Babylon,
Yeah, man, Mr. Babylon,
Full of
But
art
the New
and
Year is
crap.
the New Year, right? It don't matter if
Mhm.
you observe it or not, right? In reality,
Yeah, I know you're saying, man.
it's the
Yeah, I mean, but
it's the same thing, right?
It is a transitional point.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's what
It's
yeah,
a
it
yeah, yeah.
is.
transitional point from one moment in our history to another. So that's what they acknowledge it in the West. And we acknowledge it on January 1st. You see it? So
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
approaching that time. So
And just based on the system operation, right? How we function within the structure that they call the world, right? That is based on world structure, right? When we talk about days or time or stuff like that. But
Right.
but that's something else because that's a whole deep conversation.
A whole
Okay,
other
yeah.
thing.
Yeah, but
So
the end review though and how it affect us and what we see happening and globally and locally as well. There's a lot went on, right?
To cover, yeah. So that's how we'll start out with Okavango so
Yeah.
we can talk about some points where
yeah.
I'm
So
observing
year in
and
review,
see
we talk about the year in review, and we are look on things from a Pan-African
point of view.
perspective, right? And wanna looking like if it was looking at it, it seems like nothing much has changed. You know what I mean? But we have seen progress. We have seen small progress. It's not, you know what I mean, greater, bigger, you know what I mean, massive.
Or
But
as desired.
We have seen small progress, and that's what we like to see. You know what I mean? So we're gonna kick it off politically.
Okay.
What was changed politically? So on the political scene, we see a lot of changes. We see in the African on the continent, we see the farming of ECOWAS, and that was great. We see a African alliance. We also see the East African Alliance. So I don't remember the exact name.
African Alliance of Africa.
Yeah.
I'll find them. Go ahead. Go on.
Yeah,
I'll
looking for
find
everything,
them.
but with Kenya and Tanzania and Rwanda, Uganda, Congo.
Yeah,
That is
something
also
called the
going.
collective cooperative or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But with the African countries coming together more and more, and that's what we want to see, you know what I mean, working together. But and still on the other hand, we see, you know what I mean, conflicts in Africa.
The
and
East
the
African
negatives.
Federation.
East African Federation, thank you that. But we also see the little conflicts going on. The conflict is still going on in Congo. That is terrible. You know what I mean? We see the conflict going on in Sudan, which is another terrible war going on. In Ethiopia, the war that was ended. I think it ended. That ended. You know what I mean? But we also see, you know what I mean, bickering going on between Ethiopia and Eritrea. We don't want that to happen. I hope they can come to some amicable solution, because, you know what I mean, Ethiopia, for me, in my opinion, they don't need to be a landlocked country. You know what I mean? It's a big country, 150 million people. If Eritrea, they could come to somebody to have one of those ports that they need to do a valuable trade, that would be good for Ethiopia. That is my opinion. You know what I mean? So, and we see, and still on the negative side, Somalia, you know what I mean, a famine. Things that a famine is going on in Somalia. You know what I mean, which is leading to war. And negative again, we see Egypt and Ethiopia is in conflict over the dam and the water. So
when you talk about Somalia, you have to mention there are two Somalia, because they split the country, you know.
Well, it depends on how you look on it, because Somalia say one Somalia, but Somaliland say two.
That's how Babylon deal with it, man. That's how Mr. Babylon deal with it, you know, because
and all that is tied,
so them divide the people again.
All that is tied in colonialism, right? Because it's because Oigos, one was controlled by Italy and the other was controlled by somebody else. I think it was France, something like that. I don't even.
And then differentiate the people.
Yeah.
Based off of their differences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So them create that divide among the people. But for me, one of the greatest thing that happened through 2024 is to see the Sahel countries come together and form a federation where them decide to protect them sovereignty and look out for the benefit of the people and kick out the colonial masters out of the country. And we've seen where some of them start paying off some of them debts that they've been owing for years. You see what I said? So now that them start yeah, so since they make that decision, yeah, and decide, say, we're going to take full control of our sovereignty. We're going to take full control of our culture. We're going to take full control of our resources. And we're going to defend each other's with brotherly love. From we see them things that start happening, we see a lot of positive move within this region. And I think it's the blueprint. I think it is a blueprint for Africa to follow. To realize, so, you see, if you want to look out for your people, you see, if you want to control the resources, you see, if you want development, you see, if you want innovation, you see, if you want to add value to the things that we are produce, this is the way to go. So I commend these leaders in this region. And when I watch no propaganda, when I watch no news media who are trying to sell it differently and make it look, say, a bad thing for the people. It's a good thing for the people. It's a good thing for the continent as a whole. So we hope other leaders looking on and taking steps to make the right move. And we've seen Senegal have removed some of the foreign bases here now. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
and it is a step in the right direction. So You know?
There's a lot of positivity coming out of the motherland, right?
Overdue,
But
overdue.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Yeah,
yeah,
man.
and
That's
like you
Overdue.
say, Yaga, I think the importance here is that we are seeing that African countries and leaders are realizing the necessity to dismantle barriers, right? These unnatural barriers that have been created. I think that is the most important thing when we see these alliances allowing people to have free trade amongst themselves, open borders. So they're breaking down barriers.
Yeah, man, great energy. So that, especially as it relates to African people and our African experience, is a remarkable accomplishment. Master, because so much was done to establish these barriers. Master, so much was done to maintain these barriers. So for us now to come to a point now where we can see the necessity to remove these barriers and taking the necessary steps to doing so is worth applauding. Master, and it's great.
Of course.
So politically, what my take out from the political arena is that I am happy to see African leaders trying to solve African problems from African lenses, not from a European lens or an American lens or Chinese lens, but to look from African lens and say, what is it that really we as African people need for the benefit of African people? And this is what I'm seeing in a lot of the African states. And I think that is worth applauding as well.
Of course. A unified Africa. And
It's
that's what
getting
this
there.
is leading to.
Yes, it's the steps in the right direction, as you said.
Yes.
Yep. So that's a political overview. What about the economic overview, Bingy?
Well, Clint, I don't know that Africa is really getting a fair share, right? And part of it is what we see going on economically, even though we see small bits of what they call progress, it'll be only amongst a couple of countries, right? Nigeria being the biggest benefactor, right? Economically. I don't know that a lot is changing because the influencers are still outsiders, right? They're still the Europeans, so to speak, right? The colonizers are still the ones who are really draining Africa of her resources, right? I see countries making steps towards rectifying some of this, but it's slow, right? Economically, I don't think that Africa is really benefiting in the way she should as yet, because one of the things that's happening is Africa is still losing all her resources, right? I read a story the other day. The trucks in the Congo buying up for weeks, to move a load, That's how much minerals they're moving out of the Congo in the routes. Think about it, You are a truck driver, but you in a queue for a week plus waiting to pick up a load in the routes. So we see that until she could control her resources, she's not benefiting the way she should, right? The little bit of growth that you see economically, it's nothing to be excited about. It really isn't. Because that growth, we have to see it trickle down to the common man, right?
On a
When
micro
you don't
level, it
have
might be.
inflation, when you don't have these high taxation, even countries like we talk about, in places like Ghana, where you see the increases in taxes and stuff, those are the things we got to look at. How is this really benefiting our constituents and our whole, the people on the ground? That's
Like
what
I
we're
say,
not seeing.
Like I say, on a micro level, it might be beneficial to a small group of people, but
Yes.
overall, the benefits are very minimal.
Very, very,
Very minimal.
Especially now, like we in 2024, right?
About to be 2025.
Right. Yeah. This is the end of 2024, but how is this still happening? Like how? You see the Congo move to sue Apple, for example, right? For buying minerals, illegally mined minerals or whatever. But even the money they suing for, $1 point some billion is nothing, right?
Is it billion or trillion?
A trillion dollars, in fact.
Mhm.
Trillion dollars.
But they make
That's really
24.
nothing, right? In the
They make
scheme of things.
24
And not only
trillion.
this is a case that they presented. We don't even know what the outcome is gonna be. We don't know what the outcome is gonna be.
Because
But
you have a thing in the law that's called loopholes.
yeah. We don't know. So
Mhm.
so I'm the growth for Africa as I see it is very minimal. But I think based on what we have seen, the kind of political changes that we are seeing, the people who are coming into power, we see them as being more progressive. And more progressive in the sense that they want to actually take control of their resources. Now, China, as a player in Africa, what China is doing is very important to. Unlike the Europeans, the colonizers, they're also offering refineries, and that is what Africa needs.
Investment in infrastructural development.
Yes, infrastructure. So refineries, being able to refine your raw material is a real key thing. So now that's part of the development, but it's still slow.
These are some of the partnerships. These are some of the partnerships that Africa is pivoting towards. And they are not only looking towards the old colonial mystery babble and trickery who come in at the guise of investment, but when them come, them take out everything and then they put in nothing. So so them want to be on a level playing field now where them can make a decision, say, all right, we're gonna go with A or we're gonna go with B based on what the people are demanding. Because the youths in Africa are rising up in this dispensation. They are demanding more from their leaders. Any leader now deal with what the youth them are deal with. Them are going to perish. Them are going to go down the hard way. And no matter how them hold on, if a 40 or 60 years, them are hold on, but them have to go down because the time is now where Africa have to rise. And anything was standing at the way of our rise is going to perish.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
You go ahead, Okavongo.
I think I'm not trying to talk. But we are talking about economic.
Man can grumble yourself.
This year.
Man, you love grumble.
Yeah, man, because my time is not a chance. But I will say, economically, we see a lot of African countries, slowly but surely putting things in place to benefit Africa. But what we want to look up this year upon not just Africans in Africa, but Africans away from the continent, where we see much not change economically because we see African people still just spending on crazy things, we just the main consumer for we call that vanity. Or,
perishable goods.
Perishable goods, right. We're the main consumer for those things. We still just, we just have them call it, them Christmas season, and black people just go out and spend, and all them little spending holiday with us, Oh, it's time to spend, and so economically, we see where black people still don't, understand money, understand economics. It's still there. With programs like the Perfect Balance and other programs, the education is going out there and people are surely and slowly getting it, but it's still not where it's supposed to be. So
the mission continues.
Yeah, we still need to keep on educating ourselves as black people on money. So I want them to keep we in a certain situation and elevate some other people.
Lack of awareness.
Yeah, man.
Lack of awareness.
Yeah, we have to know, we have some Africans who not go pre-Africa because them comfortable with what them have, them comfortable with where they are. So them not not African principles, not African teaching, not African concept. So we know them people done in their mindset already, and we can't do anything for them, but we are rise up to the ones them who share the same mindset, who share the same views, and make them know, so well then boy, a fluid time now. We have to move forward and we have to start with our youth them. That's where we can start. You see me, and the like-minded ones who want to join on the trod and join on the journey. Yeah.
Naturally.
Yeah, the vision is clear, and you see it materializing, right? So,
Exactly.
so even our forefathers having these vision of Pan-Africanism movement, for example, and where Africa will be, she's not there, but where she's going, it's clear. It's clear where she's going. Everybody know what she has. That's why it's clear, you know.
Yes,
And
sir.
so to see her rising up or the leadership taking real initiatives is great, and and the African diasporas at large, right? I think what has happened though, to Okabongo's point, where we are consumers, is because you're so disconnected. That's why you're a consumer, right? You're just dealing with what's presented to you without really analyzing it. You're going with the masses. Most of the time, you're moving in masses because that's what the masses say, whether the masses is right or not, right? So when, say, for example, Christmas, as the masses, right? It had nothing to do with if they're right or not. Everybody says so. So it's so, without you even thinking about what they're talking about. So that's hard to get away from when you live in this kind of society. But for those of us who are analyzing what's happening, who are really understanding what is happening, we take this stance because we don't need the multitudes. We don't. We don't need it. Is one man against the world? That is real, because we don't need. When you know something, you don't need the multitudes because you're not dealing with belief, right? So again, how this thing affects Africans at large outside of the continent too is a cultural thing, right? I don't know how we get away from that then, like consumerism, stuff like that. How do you get away from that by the masses? So all goes on as before, like 2024, really, you looking at it from a Western point of view then, for African people, it's kind of stagnant. It's stagnancy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yaga touched on it. My take from an economic standpoint this year was that we saw African leaders looking outside of the traditional sources for investment funding. So we saw them looking to different sources, and I think that that's a good look and something that I was happy to see, because what that creates now, it eliminates the monopoly that these existing investors had on the continent. And now it's like people have to go really step up them game to say, okay, well, if we want to do this, then we have to make a better offer. And then the African people, because they're changing their view, the leaders, they're looking now more towards the benefit of Africa and benefit of its citizenry. And I think that is turning the ball more in our court, turning the handle on our side. So I think that economically, that is what I looked at this year. I said, well, I was very happy to see that. And that was a step in the right direction. So, that was my take from this year, economically. Yaga, we want to talk about the social things this year that you took from.
But even before we look at the social, we can look at innovation that is coming from the youth, because we're seeing the youth taking on a lot more in technology, in artificial intelligence, in fintech, where they are taking transactions are being made over the phone. So them are cut out the middleman, and them is able to save a bit more in terms of percentage that is paid to the middleman. So a lot of innovation is coming out of Africa. We see a lot of youth now is taking on to the technology, where them are develop them own apps. You see what I say? Them are learn to use artificial intelligence to increase efficiency and increase production also. So a lot of things go on in another era. So not fast enough. Yeah, man, remember, say them use a thing them call M-Pesa in Kenya, with them transact, with the people in the market, I take care of them transaction. So them pay using their mobile phone. So this is a
Oh,
technology
see?
which has been around for years, but we're seeing a lot more development and a lot more initiatives coming on board where people are
implement
buying
it.
into these things. Yeah.
Mhm. Now, but across the board, though, you see youths that have, like, even if you was to pull up, you see it have some young men who are developing like electric EV bicycles and EV cars, as a matter of fact, right? So we know that the
Where is it again?
potential. Huh?
Where?
EV, I'll pull it up for you right now. But yeah, they have some youths developing like electric vehicles and stuff.
Yeah,
That's
man, a
great.
lot of youth in pockets, a lot of positive things are happening in pockets. So what them need to do in these countries, when you find these youth, you need to bring them under the fold and give them the proper mentoring, give them the proper guidance, so that
And proper funding.
whatever they do, it can lead up to something where it is being mass produced and the country
Yeah.
benefit from it.
The one thing, it's like a thing is a EV. African people love car. Woman abroad, we love car, but we not see no car company. But I mean no car now.
Right.
Yeah, we not see no African car company. We love car, so. You know what I mean? The African people, them love all like car, them love them Benz, them love them Beamer, them take a car, them, and them fix them up the way them want them, and you know what I mean? Very colorful with cars and love car, but we need to develop our own cars and we love them so much, Reggie.
But I think even outside of said the love of it, just the fact that we have the resources, like we have the resources
Yeah, everything
for
is
the
there.
production of these things, and
Yeah.
to not see that
Yeah.
is disheartening, you know.
We just
Correct.
need to see the energy transfer. We need to see the energy transfer now. I mean the technology transfer moving towards Africa, where these car companies start not only assembling, because assembling is not making car now, where a lot of these companies they assemble in country. We want to see the
Yeah, we're not
manufacturing
about assemble.
taking
Yeah.
place on the continent, because a lot of the raw material, a lot of the
Exists right there.
resources
Exists right
is
there.
coming from Africa. So we need to see the value being added to all of these
Yeah, man.
products.
Yeah, God,
So
we
right
need a
now,
car.
right now we have a
We need
bunch
an
of
African
startups,
car.
right?
We are come from Africa. Come in and say that I don't want to inflate.
There's a Katanga. I think there's a car called the Katanga Bingi. See if you can bring up the Katanga
Well,
and see
not
how
only
country.
that, I'll list some I'll name some startups in different countries. So Basai Go is in Kenya. They building EV vehicles, right?
Yeah.
Shift EV is in Egypt. OP Bus is in Kenya. Zembo is in Uganda. Doda is in Ethiopia. Mobility for Africa is in Zimbabwe. The Go Electric Uganda. It has a lot of you just not hearing about it, right? Because they're not promoting it. But there's a lot coming out of Africa where they're moving towards as we say, that vision of real development where they could produce their own cars, they could manufacture their own goods, they could refine their own products. So Africa is the last frontier. It has nowhere else to go but up. But what we're saying is so slow.
Yeah,
It's so slow for the time period that
because
we're in.
and the media propaganda does not help,
Yeah.
because the propaganda that is coming from the media is
Yes.
making all these things look as if they are not efficient, they are not
Right.
productive, and the leaders are self-centered and all these things. But we have to stop listening to these medias.
It have
You see
all
what
a
I say?
helicopter. I
And
use
listen to the people who have our
these
interests at
lines.
heart
Yeah.
and who are dealing with the development of Africa.
Yeah. The vehicle you said earlier Yaga, was the Katanka.
Katanga.
So that's being made in Ghana.
Yeah,
Ghana.
man.
Yeah, what?
Ghana.
But
Yeah.
you know, me say the Katanga vehicle are assembled in Ghana from knockdown kits supplied by a Chinese firm, possibly Fude. Yeah, I'm sure well.
Mm.
So we want to
Wrong
remove
word,
the
actually.
assembly and do the manufacturing, brother.
The
And
manufacturing.
that
Well,
is
the
remember
key.
say everything are steps, for you.
Yeah.
I step,
steps,
but that's what we want this. So that's
Yeah,
say.
so that's what we
But you
want.
gotta
them, but-
start. You gotta
So we
start.
don't want to just reach here, so in the assembly and stop. You get what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But
Yeah.
like the Katanka too, man, look on it. The logo is a star.
Yeah.
Like Okabongo.
No, Okabongo don't drive these type of cars. One day in the future, I will tell you the type of
All
cars
right,
that
so we're moving
Okabongo
on to
drive.
cultural aspect of the year too. Culturally, how this year look culturally for Africans? All right, I'm gonna kick it out. Because where I examine a lot of Africans, especially Africans abroad, because the Africans who I get to see is embracing their Africanness more and more. You know what I mean? I say women, more women start wearing the African hair. I don't know if they are them see that, but I say more women start wearing the African hair, the natural hair. You know, they're moving away from burning up their hair, straightening their hair, and trying to look like Europeans. I see more women, you know what I mean, sporting the natural African look. Some of them still, even though they have it natural, they hide it under a wig, and you know what I mean, but still natural. But we want them to start feeling empowered more to wear the
Small
African
step.
hair. Yeah, man, small step. But more and more, man, I see a lot of African woman, man. You know what I mean? We're, looking like an African woman and not look like a European man. And, you know what I mean? I see small part of you know what I mean? Those people, you know what I mean? They know more about Africa. You say something to them about Africa and you can have a discussion with a random African about Africa. Because we're coming from a part, you say Africa to them and, you know what I mean? They don't know what you're talking about. They don't know nothing about Africa. They don't know where is Africa. They don't know which country is Africa. They talk about Africa as like one country. You know what I mean? So more and more the people, you know what I mean? You can talk about Ghana with them. And not just Africa and a whole like is one thing, you know? So more and more people are getting more knowledge about it.
Awareness increase.
Yes, I
Yeah,
like
still
that.
a far way to go.
But
The
very far.
process is slow,
Very far.
but
Because there's still too much Africans who think that Africa, you know what I mean, is a country. There is still too much Africans who think that Jamaica is in Africa. There's still too much Africans that think that Haiti is in Africa. You know what I mean? There's still too much Africans who think that Egypt is somewhere in Europe.
Right.
Yeah.
and there are too many Africans who think that we are all different.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think culturally too, like even this year, I think African music have played a big part globally. The culturally, that African music that we've been hearing more and more every day over all playgrounds,
In every
all
household, in most households, you see
every
people
household.
dance.
Yeah, that influence, that cultural influence, I would say, been very significant. How it transcends all boundaries. It transcends all boundaries. Whether you're European or African, that Afro beat, man, the rhythm. You see that music has been very unified.
Afrobeat and Amapiano.
Yes, very influential as far as a cultural move.
And these are the ones that we know, because there are a lot of
a lot more, man, a lot
in
more.
different countries.
But Afrobeat and Amapiano is the most popular.
in the
The
West.
ones that make like crossover
West.
stance.
Yeah, but
Make
the
like
point I'm
crossover
trying to
stance.
make is that there are a lot of other music
Others.
that is
Yeah,
doing
man.
really
Absolutely.
well underground
Really well.
in
Yeah,
them
we know,
countries
man.
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
But we talking
But I
about
want
what
the
the
music
commercial
want to be a
influences.
music that is on people's lips and people are dancing to. I want the music to have a message that is uplifting, that will rise up Africa. So the artists them have to realize, say, yo,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah,
Some
but
dig deeper.
a music that we know because happiness and
Yeah, but it can't be the entirety of the music.
Says who?
Message.
Says the people that need
No,
it.
but if a man has sing about happiness and I sing about dance and I sing about that is also good.
We
You know what I
agree.
mean? So
We agree.
no, but if I that them want do, that is good. If an artist want come sing about whatever he want to sing about, say a culture or whatever, him can come sing about that. But see one them we are sing about happiness, yes, we are big them up here sing about happiness.
We
and
not
sing
say
about,
no.
yeah.
We not say no. But what we are saying is that we are saying is that the shift has been that the social awareness and cultural exploitation through the music that diminish. So that's at the point where you gotta make that you must say like we don't want to just get to a point where the only thing with the music I deal with is entertainment.
But which
'Cause the
music that
music
though?
was never designed for just entertainment alone. African people music.
You know, but you have music same way we still give you that. We
So
talk
this
about Afrobeat and Amapiano.
Mm.
Them music they are mostly like a a
Yeah,
vibe music.
it's
Yeah.
vibe music.
It's
Yeah.
vibe music.
Yeah.
It's just like dancehall. Dancehall is not no. It's not no
But
it's
you
not no
still have
message
people
music.
that deal with
But
social
you still
awareness
have
and things
message
in
in the
it.
dancehall
That's
music.
what I
Same way.
said.
Where?
In a dancer, I mean, where?
Yeah,
Look into
man.
my eyes.
Huh?
Look into my eyes.
Man,
Welcome to Jamrock.
No life, no loss.
Brethren, maybe you can go find some wanna dancehall music.
No,
I
man,
just
I
want
want 2 man, a whole lot, man.
no man.
A
Dancehall,
whole
yeah,
lot, brother.
Brethren.
It's for dance.
That reggae music,
Reggae
music
music.
and message music.
I
Dancehall
want
music is not a
music,
message
and
music,
as a
man.
matter of fact, I want music. Reggae music and dancehall music, I want music.
No.
Yes, it is.
All right. We're not going to change the argument now. We're not going
All right, we will leave that for the music discussion.
Yeah.
But what I told you, I said, Yaga, I said the need for the message is important. So we don't want the music and the media of music get to a point where it's just. So I said,
Penis.
No, well, we're talking about the influence, right? How culturally. And so we're talking about the masses of people getting introduced
Right.
through the music then. Because now they are aware of Africa even through the music, right?
Music, right.
So when they hear an African song or African artist, naturally they look up.
Right.
But they look up the artist too, right? Even that. So it makes them aware too where this person is coming from, the region, all of that. So culturally,
So-
the impact through the music is what we're talking about. The message is something different, right?
Different.
However,
Yeah,
the
man, we know
message
this.
comes, right? Yeah.
We know
Yeah.
this. The social thing that, or cultural rather, that I took away from this year was the decision in Kenya where they're saying they're banning the local clothing from the parliament. And like that was a big, like, it was a surprising and understanding the experience that we've had as African people, but it was disappointing, you know. But on the flip side, what we saw happening in Burkina Faso, where they made it that all the schools in Burkina Faso would wear the traditional African dress, I think that was, balanced. So we was
And the
happy to see
local
that.
language is being implemented in schools.
Yes, in the school as well. Yeah, man. So culturally, I thought those were 2 good things. I think like some steps have been made towards certain other little things, which I think could be, cultural as well. But like in terms of female circumcision and stuff like that, they're making steps towards changing their stance on those things. And, we just have to see where that goes because, again, these are age-old practices in these communities. So, to say whether or not it's right isn't really our place because they know why they have these as their practices. But, as we grow and improve, if this is something that they want to step away from, then that would be their decision, But we see stuff like that happening as well.
But that we can look for stuff and say if it's right or wrong, because certain things maybe at that time it seems like it's right, but you know what I mean? Over time we say, okay, there's another way to do certain things. You know what I mean? And not because it's African, we're just gonna hang on to it like everything African
Is right.
is good or right. You know what I mean? Some practices in Africa I don't condone. So not some practices in Africa. You know what I mean? And some we embrace most, but some we still don't embrace some of them.
Right.
You know what I mean? And some of them need to be changed. You know what I mean? Because over time and we evolve our human being, we see certain things are not necessary. And certain things are, you know what I mean, they oppress Africans, the whole African
naturally.
business. You understand? So we have to move from that same way.
Agreed. But at the same time, we still have said a lot of these things what I'm trying to change is from a European influence or an external influence This is why I say that it have to be something that they come to the awareness of, and they decide that as a group, as a collective, this is how we want to move forward without that external influence, because a lot of the time that external influence, it have come with some hidden agenda. It have come with something that we not aware of why they are pushing this, and that is the point I'm making, So we agree, I will give thanks. We don't want to bring it too long, So but we're saying that overall we saw good points in this year, a lot more good than negatives. As a Pan-Africanist, we saw a lot of things that were pointing towards a better Africa, a greater Africa. And we just want to see for the 2025, we want to see that momentum being maintained and improved. And we want to see a greater spectrum of these changes, like not just in one country or not just in one area, but we want to see this widespread. And that is our view and our aim for the 2025. And the Perfect Balance Trod Class will be here to keep you updated as these things occur, whether they're good or negative. We're going to bring it forward to the item so the item can know what's going on, because to know is the key, So that's how we see it. It was a wonderful year. We give thanks that we are here. We give thanks that we have survived, because not many people, a lot of people who were here at the beginning of 2024 aren't here to begin 2025. So we do give thanks that we are here in the know. You get me? Do remember to like, share, and subscribe. Remember, we're on the road to 1K. We're past the halfway mark now, and we're coming on the home stretch. And it is now that we have to now dig deeper to get those people to click that like button, click that subscribe button, click that notification bell, so that you're kept aware of what's going on with the Perfect Balance Trod Class. This has been another Trod Class. Thanks, Okavango, the Rebel Guru. Pingy, thank you.
Give thanks to God.
Yaga, aka Sistema Art, give thanks. I am yours truly, Rastafari, and we are the Perfect Balance Trod Class. We're out.
Bingy, Okavango, Rastafari, Yaga, Chuck Friend of the Living Fire, represent to the fullest. See? Perfect balance. Don't know.